Hello and welcome to Front Row Racing. It's time for the FRR-idays Cup in Malaysia. Now hopefully our technical issues from the last couple of days is not going to hit us again, but it is a possibility. If that does happen, then unfortunately we'll be going to our backup recording where we are not doing live streams, but we'll have to just wait and see how we get on with that. Now I'm Front Row Racing DP. I will hopefully be doing commentary for the FRR-idays Cup here, joined by Front Row Racing RI, but I think he's just nipped off to the little boys' room. No, it sounds like he's back. He is back. Okay, so Malaysia, the Sepang International Circuit for the FRR-idays drivers. FRR-idays being our feeder system into our F1 leagues, and it's wet. It's wet, Ray.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, nice. Is that all you're going to say about it? Is that all you're going to say?
Yeah, it'll show how the drivers are in the wet and see how they cope with wet conditions, because we don't get much wet races, so...
That is true. Well, I mean, last season we didn't get many wet races. This season, though, I've got a feeling it's going to be one of those seasons where we end up with a lot of wet races. It could just be the way this season is going to go. Now, as I previously mentioned, we have had technical difficulties over the last couple of days, and hopefully it's not going to strike again. If it does, we will go to our backup recording where we won't be live streaming, but we will be able to edit some form of footage together after the event. Okay, so we've got a few drivers in this evening that are all trying to sort of get their places onto the Front Row Racing sort of reserve driver list, and this is the way to do it for our F1 leagues, where every now and again a driver can't make a race. They let us know a day before the event, and they're able to pick from one of the reserve drivers. Now, this system worked very, very well last season in allowing us to keep lobbies full, the league teams able to continue scoring points, and this season it's kind of a little bit more important as well, because the constructors' standings is what's going to dictate who gets to pick what car in what order for the following season. So if there is a team where drivers can't make it, it's kind of important that they pick drivers that are going to be able to score points. If you've been trying to watch this week, you'll notice that the World Championship and the World Series raced at Australia for round 1 on Wednesday and Thursday, and the FRR-idays is at Malaysia on round 2. And that's because FRR-idays is being hosted a week ahead, or an event ahead, a track ahead, so that our league drivers can have a look at those FRR-idays drivers. Okay, I'm looking at F1 Roadrunner here, who was on the reserve driver list for the World Series yesterday, but unfortunately he wasn't able to get online. He was having a lot of PSN issues and he was getting really frustrated by it. Felt that he perhaps missed his opportunity, and he would have been absolutely devastated when he realised that the PlayStation needed an update and he hadn't done it because he hadn't got auto updates on. So that's why he couldn't get online. Absolutely devastating for him, but he has had some good showings in the FRR-idays lately. Okay, so he's just starting his lap. I'll have a quick look at the timer screen here so you can have a quick look at the drivers that are in FRR-idays today. Stringy B's managed to get on with us as well. Nice to see him in. And hopefully later on this evening as well, we will be having the Project Cars Fridays LMP2 round 2 about 9 o'clock this evening. So if you're interested in a bit of watching a bit of Project Cars, we'll be on for that as well, as long as YouTube and the PlayStation Network behave. Okay, Ray, it's wet. We haven't done any laps around here, so we've no idea what sort of lap times these guys are going to be looking for. But then again, is it lap times we're really going to be looking at?
No. Because there's no point having the fastest lap, but corner cutting too much. What we want is whatever lap time you can get without the corner cutting.
Exactly. Now, I did have one of the drivers, it may have actually been F1 Roadrunner, ask me, oh, he's gone wide, ask me in the lobby whether there is a standings for the FRR-idays, to which I said, no, there isn't, for a number of reasons. One of which is sometimes the turnover of drivers in the FRR-idays events could be quite high. Some will come and go, some will come and stay, and it's a lot of work to keep chopping and changing. But also, when you look at what the FRR-idays is, the feeder system, if, let's say, for example, you've got a guy that wins every race but is cutting corners all over the place, because we don't do any stewarding or there's no additional penalties, then you'll end up in a situation where you've got a guy winning every race, scoring loads of points, thinking he's doing really, really well, everyone else thinking he's doing really well, but actually he's not. So to then have the standings, you're then going to be looking at, well, okay, well, this guy can't get away with it, so we're going to end up having to give him penalties, and that's not the idea of the FRR-idays. Turn up, drive however you drive well enough, you drive clean enough, you drive fair enough, you'll get on the reserve driver list, and then it's up to the league drivers to pick you if they need you. Okay, RMS Maranello, few drivers or few viewers may not know who this guy is, but he did used to race in FRR quite a few years ago, I think before it was actually named FRR. Okay, Ray, I've seen quite a few messages pop up on the live stream. I don't know if you're keeping an eye on that one at all.
Yeah, it's just a hybrid Nick and Hindo having a wee chat together about different driving. I'm watching Roadrunner with a keen eye here. He might be a fight later on.
Might be.
So,
now, something that's interesting here is obviously we're in wet conditions. For these guys, they've probably been practicing in the dry. So coming here in the wet, we may see them off track a little bit. But this is where sometimes you can spot a driver that's got an idea of what they're really doing on a circuit, bang straight into tricky conditions and keeping it on the road. But also it's quite amusing. Hybrid Nuke did send us a message last night with a bit of footage from his World Series race saying, have a look at this, a fantastic 46 seconds of my race in a World Series.
I've not got the car.
Which I watched and I couldn't help but laugh. Obviously devastating. The race starts, he ends up being crashed out. A bit of an unfortunate situation. But you hear someone on his broadcast go, "Oh no, I've got no wing," to which he replies, "I've got no effing car," and that just cracked me up. So yeah, I found that quite funny. Okay, let's see. Gonk 721. Didn't get to see much of him last week, so we'll see how he gets on around the Malaysian circuit. But as I mentioned, in these wet conditions, it's going to be very, very tricky for a lot of the drivers. In a way, I'd like to hope that we see a dry race, but Gonk is going to go 5th with a 1:43.2 at the moment, but we'll see if he continues on for another lap. Now in the FRR-idays, it's a short qualifying session, so it's about 18 minutes, and then we've got a 25% race. I don't know how many laps that is. I haven't done any running around Malaysia yet, so I'm a little bit behind on my own practice, but we'll see how the drivers are going to get on. Now for some of the settings, if they want to use assist, they can. Damage we've turned off, and that's not so that people can go doing a bit of dodgems on each other. It's just to help those guys that perhaps get accidentally taken out in the first couple of corners. They still get to continue on without having to do a pit stop an absolute mile behind. Okay, so Gonk so far been doing quite well on this lap, 25.3 sector 1. Now on the uphill, I haven't got my book next to me to tell me which corners are which. I think it's turn 10, that turn 9, left hand up the hill. Very easy to lose the rear end of the car there. Into the faster section, and then probably the most hated corner on this track by absolutely everybody. And then we head on down towards the magic mushroom at the end of the stadium. Well, it's been looking like quite a nice clean lap by Gonk here. Will he be improving on his lap time? Something else to consider at this circuit, I don't know if you remember, Ray, the pit entry. It's a tricky one, it's a blind one. And Gonk has moved up his position.
Yeah, it's very tricky. And it's even tricky for the F1 drivers as well, I'm sure.
Oh yes.
Did Lewis Hamilton, he had a puncture and he went into Kitty Little, Kitty Little?
No, was that not
Was that not
China?
here?
I think that was China. China's quite a tricky pit entry, but not as tricky as this one. If people haven't been practicing their pit entries here, they may soon get found out. Okay, I'm having a quick look at Stringy B at the moment, as he's heading into the final sector. It looks like he's struggling for a little bit of grip here. Front end's just not quite going where he wants it to, getting quite a bit of understeer. See how he gets on with the dreaded turn 14. It's definitely my bogey corner anyway. Down the long straights. Now this is interesting. He's driving off the racing line here, which isn't always a bad tactic in the wet. You can find advantages by braking off the racing line as well, but into the pits he goes, so he knows exactly where the pit lane is. Now Millstar, we're right on board with Millstar for a moment. He's already put a lap in, but that's for 9th place. Now Millstar actually had his first reserve drive yesterday. Was caught up in a collision on the first lap. I have seen a couple of drivers sort of highlights of the first lap collisions, and quite a few people were very, very lucky. Millstar was one of those that was not lucky at all. And after that, I don't really know how he got on, but it'll be interesting to see how he does here. He's got a nice entry.
I'll just tell you, I think I've looked at them. No, I've not looked at them minutes.
I think he finished the race. I think he finished the race in about 7th place. But as for how his race went, sort of during the whole race, I don't know. Ray might, but obviously that race to a degree has already passed now. So for someone like Millstar, focus on Malaysia, put in a good drive here and get on the reserve driver list again. But he's got a little bit too much on the curb there. It's compromised his ability to turn in as he now heads up to the dreaded turn 14. And there we go. That's one of the reasons why people don't like it. You hit the brakes and you go straight on. Compromises you for the whole corner and the exit. He's been bumped down to 10th place as well. Again, he's not on the racing line, trying to keep as much grip as he can get. Moves over to the racing line in the braking zone, but he'd probably be better off doing it the other way round. Go down the straight on the racing line and then just move off it in the braking zone. Okay, heading up to the finish line. It's a 1:44.1, so he's moved up to 8th place. W. Butler, he had a very good showing last week in the FRR-idays in Australia. Probably one of his best drives I've ever seen him have, which means I've probably just cursed him and he's about to have one of the worst he's ever going to have. Hopefully that's not the case though, because I mean I have seen Will race quite a lot over the last sort of year or two, and I have seen improvements, which is obviously the whole idea of this. I mean, if someone comes into these FRR-idays events and is all off the track, then what we'd like to see is improvements. So he's into the final sector. He's quite a bit off though, I think, in sector 1. I think he may have had a bit of trouble on sector 1, either that or he's on his way into the pits. But either way, he's approaching turn 14 with a little bit of caution, but gets nicely into the apex. I'd say with the amount of throttle he's using, he's on an in-lap. Okay, English boy, he's on an out-lap. He's one we'll have to keep an eye on to see how he gets on. Seeing a level improvement for him is something I am interested in doing. John Rhinos, he's come back from having his shower. He's got dried off, got to the Malaysian circuit, and he's going to need another towel. Okay, Mr. Hamilton, he's currently, Mr. Hamilton 44, currently sitting in pole position with a sector 1 on this lap of a 26.7. Just approaching sector 2 now. Very cautious on the exit turn 9, although it could be TC kicking in. A 35.1 sector 2. See how that compares. They're both quite down, but RDB has got the fastest sector 1 at the moment with its Hammer Time 44, the fastest sector 2, and it says fastest sector 3, but it's not quite. Okay, so I don't think Mr.
Just watch RMS
Maranello, yeah.
Hello, sorry. Scottish, sorry. He's had a good wee lap. His lap time's 4th, he's sitting 4th. It was a nice wee lap to watch, sitting much.
Okay, I'm just having a look at It's Hammer Time 44, and his car is all over the place. We've got a little bit of lag going on with him. RDB in third place, he's on an out lap. He's got 2 cars ahead of him. See if we can go and find out who they are. F1 Roadrunner, and I think that is the Mercedes of It's Hammer Time 44, who I said is lagging a bit. So if Roadrunner can see that, he's going to be keeping an eye on that one. Stringy B about to cross the line to start a flying lap, so I'm going to ride on board with him for a short time. He's got a previous best Sector 1 of a 25.4, which is not too bad. It's up there with the drivers on the first 2 rows. Sector 2 and definitely Sector 3, where he's struggling a little bit more though. Now, this is a circuit that in the dry I do enjoy racing around this track. It's been a while since I've raced it in the wet, and usually when it rains here, it really rains here. Now, Stringy B's run a little bit wide on the exit of turn 4. May have compromised him. He's struggling for the grip. He still hasn't got enough turning on the car. He's off the throttle when really he wants to be on the throttle, so he's going to struggle around this double apex. No, he's on the throttle to get it round. He's done the right to steer it with the rear. It's a 25.5 Sector 1. See how he gets through Sector 2. Can he get anything in the 34s maybe? No, it's a 35.9. So not too bad through Sector 1 and 2. Okay, let's have a quick flick through. Someone that we have not ridden on board with yet. RDB down at turn 9. 25.1 Sector 1, that's not too bad, that's not too shabby. A 34.9 Sector 2. We've got a Mercedes off just ahead. Might be It's Hammer Time, that one. Okay, so RDB then up to turn 14. He's on and off those brakes. He knows how tricky that corner is. He's got a fairly decent exit. He's going to get slipstream as well, possibly from the car ahead. No, I think they're just too far away. But he could be on for a good lap time here by RDB. See how he gets on in the final corner. A little bit of understeer, a little bit of locking up. Gets the power down. It's Hammer Time's retired from the session, so his session is over. And RDB is third with a 1:48.8. So lost a bit of time. It's Hammer Time 44 has just posted the fastest lap as well with a 1:41.1. Go on, Ray. Sound like he was about to say something there.
Just back from Lotus Garage, menu options stuck on my screen, not me controlling my car. That's from Will Butler.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay, I'm having a quick look at English Boy, currently sat in 11th place. I said we want to keep an eye on him a little bit as we go through these sessions. Oh, deep, he's very deep into turn 9. Perhaps the wet weather's just catching him out a little bit here. John Rhino's session is over, but he has been compromised in the shower rooms. Well, that sounds a bit bad actually, compromised in the shower rooms. But English Boy, he's definitely struggling in these wet conditions. He might find himself in a situation of trying to brake at the points where he would in the dry, and it's just not quite happening for him. Sector 1 of a 25.8 isn't too bad. A 37.0 though, struggling there. So in the section of the track where really he needs a little bit of aerodynamics, perhaps he's just not got it on the car. You can see he's struggling for a turn in. Perhaps he's gone for a setup that may benefit him in the drive, but to be honest, Parfum's off. But it's still 11th place for English Boy. Okay, it's Hammer Time, his session is over. I think Mr. Hamilton 44, we're about to get kicked from the pit lane, may be on another lap. Azamore now coming down to the final corner. Obviously we're not going to see any sector time, so we won't be able to see if anyone will improve, but Azamore, he's a driver that used to race in World Series beginning of last season. He did say after last week's race he's definitely a little bit rusty, but it would be nice to see him getting back into it. Okay, Millstar crosses the line. So go on, Ray.
He was a good driver. He was a good driver because I raced with him before I joined Front Row Racing, and then I raced with him in practice. I think it was me and him battling most of the times. We were on the same type of level. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, when you get into doing league races, you do tend to find there may be one or two drivers that are sort of on your pace that you'll end up battling throughout the course of a whole season. which does mean that you could end up crashing into each other a lot or having some very, very good battles. Okay, Mr. Hamilton 44 is able to continue on for another lap. I don't know if he's still pushing for it or whether he's settled for second place. So qualifying is over then. So it's Hammer Time 44 takes pole position. We weren't really able to see his lap. Mr. Hamilton 44 in second place. RDB in third. I think that's 2 weeks in a row he's been up in third place. RMS Maranello, otherwise known as Mr. Beasley, in fourth. Gonk in fifth. Millstar in sixth. Stringy B seventh. F1 Roadrunner in eighth. Azamort ninth. Will Butler in 10th. English Boy in 11th. John Rhinos in 12th. Myself and Ray at the back of the grid. Now looking at the off-track moments, that's not too bad really, to be honest. Okay, so we're going to get ready for the FRR Racing FRR-idays Cup Malaysia round 2. As long as we have no issues, we'll get on with it. So it is time then for the FRR-idays Cup in Malaysia. The drivers will be happy about that one. Crofty might not be, because I've just cut him off in his introduction. Who's Crofty? I don't know. Okay, I bet he doesn't have error messages pop up on his screen. Actually, saying that, they have had it happen before, because they have multiple timing screens. But anyway. So, any predictions, Ray?
Hammer Time to go and take the win.
It's quite possible. Now, if the other drivers are seeing the amount of lag that I was seeing him have, could end up with some tricky situations. I know Adam 4600 had a lot of lag yesterday, and it can cause problems, but it'll be interesting to see how it's Hammer Time, Mr. Hamilton and RDB get on here. I am, to a degree, really looking forward to this race. Okay, 1 lights, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights. The revs are rising, the tension's rising, and away they go.
Well, John Rhinos get a good start. He's shot off.
So John Rhinos, you say he's got a good start. Hopefully he has. We've got 3 wide into turn 1. Oh, Ferrari goes deep, collects. It's Hammer Time. Oh dear, that's Stringy B causing a little bit of a collision there. Millstar facing the wrong way. F1 Roadrunner also collected in that collision. Oh dear, a bit adventurous by Stringy B there. That's compromised a few drivers. Go on, Ray.
We had a Red Bull inside a Ferrari. With a bull inside a horse.
Let's not start any rumours on that one. The prancing horse has been abused by the bull, or is it a bull has taken its horns to a prancing horse? Now, you said John Rhinos had a good start. He got up to 8th place. He's under pressure though by Millstar, who was collected in the collision early on. Millstar's got a good exit speed, and John Rhinos isn't going to give it up easy, but he's going to have to give him a little bit of room here as Millstar has a look at going around the outside. He's on the prime tyres though, I think. And here comes the Ferrari. That could be F1 Roadrunner. It could be Stringy B. It is Stringy B, so he's managed to jump ahead of John Rhinos. John is on the prime tyres, sorry. So John is going to be slow at this moment in time, but will be able to be faster later on as long as he can keep going. He's struggling on those prime tyres. English Boy is out of the race, and RDB is going to end the first lap in the lead. A little bit of a gap between himself and Gonk in second place. So it'd be interesting for me to see how Gonk gets on. I said we'd seen him a little bit over the last few weeks. Not a lot. Let's see how he copes with the pressure of being up near the front and being hunted by Mr. Hamilton 44. Now, 14 laps in this race. The tyre wear will be a little bit aggressive around this track. The front left tyre is going to take a bit of a pounding, especially with the fast nature of some of the corners, but the left front tyre is going to take a lot of damage around this track. Oh, close between Lotus and Williams there. Azamor may have just had the door closed on him a little bit, still able to keep going the right direction, and these are the corners that are really going to punish that front left tyre. So as for how long the tyres are going to last, I don't really know, but I reckon the option tyres, you're probably going to be seeing drivers coming into the pits anywhere from lap 5 or 6 to potentially lap 8 or 9. I tell you what, that Force India, he's on a bit of a charge. It's Millstar. He's, after being spun a little bit on the first lap, he's looking at getting right back into this. I think, though, his front left tyre, it looks like he may have a puncture, which could just be a visual effect, or he's got a front left puncture going to be happening very, very soon. Usually we see it before they do. So I don't know if you want to keep a bit of an eye on that one, Ray.
Will do.
Okie doke. Right, let's see what we've got a little bit further down the field. RMS Maranello, he will be devastated that he must have been collected in the collision on the first corner, along with F1 Roadrunner, who is also on the prime tyres, as it's hammer time sets the fastest lap of the session. Now behind F1 Roadrunner is John Rhinos in 11th place, and he will be the last of the runners now, with English boy having retired from the session. Perhaps he was feeling his setup is not quite right in the wet or the dry. Now for John Rhino, so go on, Ray.
Visual, I think it's a visual glitch, because I've been watching both sides and both sides seem to keep going down and up, so
okay, well,
they're both equal.
Hopefully he's not going to suffer with any issues in the next couple of laps. We'll have to wait and see. But, I mean, we saw it in the World Championship race in Australia that you can puncture the tyres if you are a little bit too aggressive on them. Obviously, though, these drivers, they've not had to qualify on these tyres, so they're brand new, fresh out of the box or out of the tyre blankets for the start of the race. So they shouldn't have had any wear of them beforehand, unless there's been a bit of sabotage going on somewhere. Oh, I tell you what, Gonk's under a little bit of pressure. He's not under pressure. He's been spun. He's been spun. I think that's it's hammer time. Yep, it's hammer time. Looked like he was going for an overtake, but now they've both lost out, and it's hammer time's got back onto the track into a bit of a gaggle of cars. You've got Will Butter in 5th place, having a look up the inside, and then you've got two cars battling just behind them, Millstar and Azamor. Yep.
Yes, and Stringy B was free. Stringy B's caught up with him in the DRS zone. Now
DRS is active, so we could see a few attempted overtakes. Azamort's going defensive. Millstar looks to go back to the racing line. Can he go around the outside? He's going to give it a go. He may have the inside line for the next corner. Stringy B, oh, contact! A little bit of a collision there. I don't know if Millstar's facing completely the wrong direction, but I can't see him anymore.
He's still going. He's going. He's get back going. He was just sideways.
Now he was trying to keep hold of the inside line there, but I don't know whether it got closed off or it just wasn't there for him. But Stringy B was sort of behind those two, seeing that possibly brewing, managed to keep out of the way of it and gained a position by doing so. Oh, he ran a little bit wide though. You want to be careful of doing that, because if you get out onto the grass or out onto the gravel, it is going to hurt the tyre wear. Okay, Millstar, he is back onto the pack here. So we've got John Rhinos just behind, well, that's saying Stringy B. So we've got Stringy B, RMS Maranello, and then Millstar. Now Millstar has been looking quite quick and kind of quite aggressive in the early stages of this race, which may not be the best tactics, but it's interesting to see. You want to see these guys attempting overtakes. Sometimes it's going to go wrong. As long as they're not attempting absolute ridiculous dive bombs, you can kind of say, at least he gave it a go. Now, Stringy B, DRS open, he's gone for it up the inside on Azamor. Azamor spotted him, had to concede the position, but has that just given Azamor DRS? It may have done. The Ferrari pulling ahead a little bit. No, is this Azamor coming back? Yes, Azamor, he's got DRS. It is open. So up into turn one, Azza's going to try and keep hold of it up the inside, but he's not going to have the inside line for turn two again. Stringy B, he's backed out of it. Perhaps that's because of what he saw happen on the previous lap. Now, Millstar.
Hammer times back up to 3rd place.
Okay, well, I'll go and have a look at that in a moment, but Millstar, while these two were attacking each other and still are doing, Millstar was able to get ahead of RMS Maranello. I would guess that was under DRS as well. So he's trying to make his way through the field. Oh, Ferrari's ran wide, and that's going to give Millstar half a chance. I tell you what, Ray, this action here, it just keeps on going, and more is going to happen as Maranello looks up the inside. That's a brave attempt, but you can carry a lot more speed if you're on the racing line there. Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to keep an eye on the guys at the front, as Azamor very, very sideways, leaving huge 11s up the racetrack. I think we're getting to that point where pit stops could be happening. The Ferrari's gone a little wide again. I've got a feeling this is either going to end up in some fantastic overtaking or absolute carnage. And I don't know which one I'd rather see.
He's taking, he's doing a move over Hamilton 44, Mr. Hatton 4.
So
and I don't know if he's is it DRS on, it isn't joined together, it's separate.
It is two separate DRS zones. We've got a Ferrari into the pits. Sorry, Mr. Hamilton, he's going to go for it around the outside of turn 1. He's going to try and take that position back. Go on.
That's okay. I'll let you go. I've done enough talking yesterday.
I've got to make up for yesterday. Okay, so you're right though. It is two separate DRS zones. One down the back straight, one down the start-finish straight. So this is a track where, yes, you can overtake into the final corner. Really, you don't want to. You are better off getting close. Get the driver out of position and overtake down the start-finish straight, then try and use the rest of the lap to try and but to try and, break DRS. I tell you what, Azamor, he's still battling. He's been having to defend position for the last 4 or 5 laps. He's got Millstar all over the back of him. RMS Maranello, he's still in 8th place, but he's dropped off quite a bit. F1 Roadrunner, he's the Ferrari I think that I saw pitting. No, it wasn't. It was Stringy B, because he was in the battle. So Stringy B has now pitted with 8 laps to go. He's now on the prime tyres. RDB's looking fairly comfortable out in front. Got a bit of a gap to its Hammer Time 44, who's pulled out a gap on that Red Bull over the course of this lap. He's 3 seconds behind the leader. Oh, so RDB is into the pit lane then. Obviously it's going to be for...
got it right.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be for the prime tyre. I tell you what, Ray, you keep an eye on him. Let's see if they make any mistakes in the pit lane at all and stick on the wrong set of tyres, or perhaps he's going to go for a 2-stop. But it's Hammer Time. Oh my goodness me. I hope that was a bit of lag there, Mr. It's Hammer Time, because that was so far off track. The Titanic has asked for its anchor back. Okay, Mr. Hamilton 44 is go on, Ray.
No problems in the pits. RDB's
away.
Yeah.
Okay, now I've just spotted Mr. Hamilton 44 is actually on the prime tyres at the moment, so he won't mind that it's Hammer Time is pulling away from him a little bit, as long as he's doing it fairly, because he's going to be going on to the option tyres, I would guess, possibly the end of this lap, possibly the end of lap 8. Now F1 Roadrunner, he's up to 5th place, with RDB in 4th and Will Butler in 5th. And F1 Roadrunner in 5th. RDB is in 4th place. He is on the prime tyres. Now Gonk, he's in 6th. He's now gone to the prime tyres as well. The car behind him is John Rhinos, who is still running the prime tyres. So he will be pitting in the very, very near future. It's going to be time for you to get ready in that pit lane, Ray. I reckon there's going to be a few guys making their way towards you. Now Stringy B, he's under attack from Millstar. Both of these guys on the prime tyre now, perhaps closing in on John Rhinos, who is on worn primes. I kind of like the way Millstar's been aggressive. Go on, round the outside, go on. If he can hold his position, carry the speed. No, he's not going to be able to hold his line.
In the pits. He's on options now.
Okay, so it's Hammer Time then from 2nd place or 3rd place. Is in the pits, as Ray said. But Stringy B fends off Millstar for that position, and Millstar's got Azamor behind him, but Azamor is a little bit too far away for DRS. I think he's pitted a lap or 2 later and been caught out perhaps a little bit with the undercut. But Millstar though, DRS is open. We've got a car exiting the pits as well. I think that's Will Butler. It is. Excuse the dodgy camera angles. So Will Butler's just come out of the pits in 5th place. Needs to get his tyres up to temperature, or these two guys are going to be all over him. Right. Time to take a breather. Oh, Stringy B. Stringy B's ran very, very wide there. That's going to give Millstar half a chance. He's already done it. He's round the outside. He's ahead. That's good, taking advantage of the advantage there by Millstar. Now time to focus on the car ahead. Okay. Now RDB was leading. He's in 2nd place at the moment with It's Hammer Time 44 all over the back of him. We've got Mr. Hamilton 44 leading the race at the moment, but he's got to be due a pit stop fairly soon. We did spot It's Hammer Time 44 off track a little bit on a few occasions earlier on, so we may just have to focus on this battle at the moment as It's Hammer Time goes for a DRS overtake into the final corner. They've got about the whole straight on 4th place at the moment. But
Mr. Hamilton's in the pits, he's just coming out.
Okay, thank you very much for that one, Ray. Now RDB, I was about to say, he's going to get DRS back, so he can now try to retake his position. It's put him in 1st place, as we saw in the background there. Mr. Hamilton coming out of the pits in the Red Bull. So RDB retakes the lead. Now then, it's Hammer Time. A comeback against him, but this is where for RDB he needs this lap to try and break that DRS so that he can give himself a little bit of comfort. The gap through sector 1, 0.2 of a second, and it's Hammer Time. He's going to be struggling with dirty air now. He's going to have to be prepared for it. Is he going to end up running wide? No, he's got it held in quite nicely. Looking up the inside into the double right-hander. Is he going to be able to do that? No! Huge crash! Huge crash! Excuse me, that's caught me off guard. That has just promoted, possibly. No, RDB, he's still in the lead. Now, given the camera angle we had, not able to completely see what happened with that collision, but we did see RMS Maranello attempt it on another car earlier. They both managed to get round there, but obviously on a corner like that you got a possibility of a car turning into the apex, or even the possibility of a car understeering at the apex. Either may have happened. We won't know until after the race, when we find out someone's put a boxing ring up and handed out some gloves. Okay, Mr. Hamilton, he's on the charge now. With what happened, it's given him the opportunity to try and DRS overtake into turn 1. He's got the inside line. He's also got the option tyre. So he's got a double whammy benefit here. Fresher tyres, option tyres, DRS, move done, job done. Time to take the lead, time to try and run away. Okay, Ray, I don't know if you just want to keep an eye on those two, see how they get on with their little battle, as I have a look.
Starting well, but are having a wee battle.
Okay.
5th and 6th.
5th and 6th.
To the front.
Okay, so Millstar, he's trying to attack Will Butler, but he's going to have to be careful of Stringy B closing in on him in the Ferrari behind him. Now, I have seen this week that the Force India team have said that they won't be changing their name to Aston Martin this season, or this coming season, but they are in talks to continue or get some form of partnership and continue some form of partnership with Aston Martin. And I must admit, I would love to see an Aston Martin badge on an F1 car. I don't know if they could make an F1 car look like an Aston Martin, but I bet they could make an Aston Martin look like an F1 car. Okay, has Millstar got anything to attack Will Butler with? They'll have pitted on different laps. We've got 4 laps to go. And Millstar has been, I think aggressive is the wrong word to use through this race. It looks as if he's been confident. Now, I do know that in the driver's briefing just before the race, oh, Millstar, here he comes, DRS into the final corner. He's slightly ahead, but he's going to gift DRS to Will Butler on the exit of the corner. Will Butler up the inside, a little too much on the power, could compromise him, but he is going to get DRS. It'll be open. He's got slipstream. Is he going to go for it? Millstar goes defensive. Will thinks about chucking up the inside, opts against it. He's going to try the outside, but the room's not there. A little bit of contact and away they go. Stringy B now finds himself closer to this battle than he was expecting. He's going to gain 2 places up the inside, up to turn 4. Oh, contact! Oh no! He's not going to get to turn 4 ahead of him. He's ended up behind them. My goodness me. And that's where the advantage of having an indestructible, non-flexible front wing comes in handy in this situation. That could have ruined his race. Instead, he's able to get his head down and keep going if he can keep it on the black stuff. Wow, plenty of action going on here. Have we got anything going on up at the front, Ray? Or is Mr. Hamilton 44 just running away with it?
Nothing up at the front. I don't know if he's running away with it, I think. RDB's sticking in there. He's 3 seconds behind, but he's sticking in there, so it'll be the tyre wear at the end who's going to lose out. With Mr. Hamilton on the primes, I don't see him having much tyre wear. Can't remember what lap he pitted on.
He'll probably be alright on the prime tyres for tyre wear. It's whether the option tyres, as you say, whether they're going to last at all. Now, something you may want to also keep an eye on is it's Hammer Time 44. See whether he's able to catch back up at all. I'm just having a quick look at RMS Maranello in 9th place. He's got F1 Roadrunner behind him, and I think his F1 Roadrunner is quite far behind. No, not that far. Half the start-finish straight. Azamort is just ahead of RMS Maranello, about half the finish straight again. So these guys, actually no, it's not that big a gap. Let's see, it's only 2 seconds, so with a couple of laps to go, Azamort could find himself coming under a little bit more pressure. Now, Stringy B.
Guess what, Dave?
Go on.
It's Hammer Time 44 is catching right up in RDB.
Okay, so both of these on the prime tyres. So it looks like we could end up for a battle then for 2nd place. Now, obviously, a few of the viewers, a few of the drivers will want to make sure that if someone's able to catch up as quick as they are doing, that it's being done in a clean fashion. It doesn't matter how quick you are. If it's not clean, it's not going to count. But he's going to be in position for a DRS overtake. The question is he going to go for it? Is he going to have learnt from previous attempts? Is he going to wait until the start-finish straight? He is. Probably didn't even bother opening DRS there. Something I've done down that straight before, though. Oh, he's off the track. He's off the track. Just about manages to keep it going. Yeah, something I've done down that back straight before is turn it into lean, open DRS. You save fuel and you still go fast. Then you can turn it up to rich for a run down the start-finish. Okay. Are these guys going to give us any action on the final 2 laps or 1.8 laps of the race? RDB seems to have broken a little bit of a gap there. So while they're sorting themselves out, well, it's interesting. Into the corners, it's Hammer Time's catching him. Out of the corners, RDB seems to be pulling away a little bit. Not through the fast corners, though. This is where they crashed before. They managed to get through their line of stern on this occasion. But I think it's Hammer Time. Perhaps feels he has got the better entry speed to the corners. RDB showing the inside, but it's Hammer Time. Opts not to go for it. Oh, close. Very, very close. Now, if you're watching, you can make your predictions as to who's going to end up in what position for the 1st, 2nd and 3rd places. But I wouldn't be surprised if 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th still change. These two are really going at it, but it's Hammer Time. He's off. He's onto the Astro. Totally sideways. Just about manages to keep it going in the right direction. Quick reactions needed there. You're right, Ray. DRS is open. But again, he's not gone for the overtake in the final corner. He has gone a little bit deep in the braking zone, though. But it's going to be time now to try and make the overtake. Excuse me, down the start finish. DRS will be open now. Up the inside he goes. So into 2nd place. But can RDB fight it back at all? Oh, a little bit of contact. And around goes it's Hammer Time for the 2nd time in the race. That looked like front wing catching rear wheel. And away he goes. Pit manoeuvres really should be the way you drive into the pits, not the way you spin somebody around. Oh dear, I don't think it's Hammer Time will be happy about that one. Now Gonk is in 4th place. I've not really watched him much because he's been a little bit all on his own on track. Millstar's managed to get himself up to 5th, so he has got himself ahead of W. Butler in 6th place, and we're on the final lap of the race. So let's just go and see where Mr. Hamilton is. He's got a few corners to go before he gets to the finish line. John Rhino's just about across the line for his final lap of the race. Now, I don't know whether he's going to be pleased with his pace here, or upset with his pace here, or just pleased that he went for a shower beforehand. Depends on if it was a happy shower, I suppose. Okay, Mr. Hamilton, 44 then. He's heading down to the final corner for the final time. He's already weaving. Let's hope he doesn't do a Mansell, run out of fuel and not get to the finish. But he is now around the final corner. So victory then in the Front Row Racing FRR-idays Cup in Malaysia will go to Mr. Hamilton, 44. In 2nd place, we've got RDB. But I don't know whether it's Hammer Time is going to have anything to say about that. And I tell you what, I reckon if this race was any longer, we could have had rain again because it's getting very, very cloudy. So it's Hammer Time takes 3rd place. Gonk is going to cross the finish line in 4th place, with Millstar not too far behind him in 5th. And Will Butler not too far behind him in 6th place. And then
of course.
They are. We've got 7th. And then Azamore in the background there with a Red Bull right behind him of RMS Maranello. But they've already crossed the line and they're going to hold their position. And then F1 Roadrunner in 10th place, so around the final corner for the final time. And he will cross the line in 10th. I think he'll be a little bit frustrated about the collision on the first lap. But sometimes that's how it goes. Okay. But this is where, like I said, having an indestructible car comes to your advantage, because in those situations could have had damage, could have needed to pit, but instead they're able to continue and see what they can do. So John Rhinos crosses the line in 11th place. Well, we got through it without any...
We've still got another race to go.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is very true. But Mr. Hamilton, 44, he is taking victory here in Malaysia. Now, I'm probably going to have to watch the footage back to see how some of the guys really did, because I've just been so focused on making sure we stay in the commentary booth this evening. But it was a very interesting race. I mean, strategies don't hugely come into play other than doing a bit of an undercut there. Okay, Stringy B, see there, he's received a little bit of a slap on the wrist by the race directors. Okay, next up on the Front Row Racing YouTube channel, all going well, will be the Front Row Racing PCF League Project Cars Fridays in LMP2s for round 2 at the Zhuhai International Circuit. That could be very, very exciting to watch. Those cars are very, very interesting. But for us, Ray, I mean, how do you think that FRR-idays event went?
That went quite well. It wasn't. That was fun to watch. Although it was a bit of contact, but it was still fun to watch.
I mean, this is the thing. In the FRR-idays, you're going to see guys off the track. You're going to see bits of contact. And in a way, you want to see guys attempting overtakes, and sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not going to. But I've got to admit, I think Millstar stood out a little bit for me in that race, because he did seem to have a lot of confidence going for overtakes and things like that. But then, I mean, Mr. Hamilton 44 done very, very well. RDB seemed to be doing very, very well until 2 collisions. It's Hammer Time seemed to be able to catch up very quickly on occasion. But also on occasion we saw him off track a little bit. John Rhino's done very, very well. Okay, he may have come last, but there was other people that didn't actually make it to the end of the race. So a very interesting session, and at the same time it is good to see the guys each week making that little bit of improvement, because let's face it, when you're watching a race, if cars are cutting corners all over the place, it's not as beautiful as a car that takes corners on the track. is one way I'll put it. Okay, right, it's time then for us in the commentary booth to get our TARDIS out and make our way over to the Zhuhai International Park. I have no idea where in the world that is, I can't remember. So we're going to go and get ourselves ready for the Project Cars Friday event this evening, which will be on the YouTube channel around about 9 o'clock this evening. Should be very, very interesting. Quickly before we do go, Ray, I see that we've had a few messages pop up. Anything of interest, or have we got Hybrid Nuke and Hindle chatting to each other again?
Apologies for going into deep into turn 1. Completely done. So sorry for anyone who got taken out, and that was from Stringy B.
Stringy B, yes, first corner collision, so Stringy B straight away, he's putting an apology out, and that's nice to see. He realised he made a bit of a mistake there, puts his apology out. People, the drivers involved, may be annoyed with him, but at the end of the day, you can't fault the guy for apologising. Okay, right, okay, let's bring it to an end then. Thank you very much, Ray.
Thank you as well for having me.
You're very welcome. I've been from Raw Racing DP, otherwise known as Dave Lays in Beds. We've been from Raw Racing, and we'll see you all again soon.